Hello.
Hey, David. How are you?
I'm well. How are you doing?
Very, very good. Thank you for coming on the podcast. I can hear you well. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Perfect. Perfect. Appreciate you making the time. Where are you in the world?
I'm in Los Angeles.
Oh, cool. But you're from Canada, yeah?
I am.
Awesome. I can hear your Kaido voice straight away with that deep. You've got such a deep, strong voice. That's cool. Well, let's get into it then. For the people who might not know who you are, would you briefly just quickly explain who you are and what you do, David?
Sure, as I move around my light here to try to get a little light on. I'm a voice actor, David Sobolov, originally from Canada, living in Los Angeles for about 23 years now. I started working about 30 years ago and did a lot of Western stuff mostly. I did a show called Key the Metal Idol, which was an anime show many, many years ago in 1995. And the next one I did was One Piece, and that was 26 years later. So I've mostly been doing TV and film and animated series Western stuff for all those years. Do a lot of work in Transformers.
Yeah, I've noticed that you do a lot of movies and so for that, so you did an anime back then, and I've done anime now. But between that period, you were in movies and you were involved in quite a few animated movies and stuff like that. Is that acting, voice acting, a combination of the both?
Yeah, well, it's voice acting. I mostly did voice. I've done some on camera, but I was in the Beast Wars series in the '90s. I was RoboCop. Worked on the Sabrina series many years ago. Did a Guardians of the Galaxy series a few years ago. Ben 10, all sorts of stuff.
Cool. Oh, that's incredible. That's really, really cool. Yeah, because when I was going through your profile, obviously I know you best from or as Kaido, but going through your profile and seeing the amount of stuff that you've done is incredible. And I love your background there. You've got Kaido. I see. You've got a couple of other cool posters.
Hmm.
Is that your man cave?
Well, this is my podcast cave, I would say.
All right.
Yeah, that's better. That's well lit now.
That's cool. Now you can see it all. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you do a podcast yourself?
No, I don't. But when I'm interviewed, it's nice to have fun stuff behind
Yeah, heck yeah. And you should with your voice. My goodness. I think a lot of people would listen to it. I spoke to Carla Bear the other day, and he's also got the type of voice that needs to be he's on a podcast, but he's got the
me.
type of voice that needs to be heard, which is quite cool. So, all right. How did it all begin for you, David? Like obviously you said 26 years ago it all started, but did you just your first words were Mike or something like that? How did how did you become a voice actor?
I was a French horn player and I was an a cappella singer. I was touring around with an a cappella group. I was playing French horn semi-professionally. And I ended up doing stage plays in Vancouver. And an agent saw me and said, come do villains. I'd never done voice acting before. It came to me. And they kept encouraging me with a paycheck. So I kept doing it. And I liked it. And I kept doing it. You know, in the arts, it's very difficult to make a living. So finding that niche where you can actually make a living is great if you can do it. So that was mine.
Heck yeah, heck yeah. And what do you like about voice acting? Obviously, the paycheck's good now and again, but
Well, it isn't really about the paycheck. It's just that I do like telling stories, and I don't have to look like anything. I can look completely different than the character. And obviously, I'm not an evil guy. I play a lot of evil characters, but I'm a nice guy, I think. And I can go outside myself, have a lot of fun playing different parts, and um, don't ever have to really leave my apartment. Sometimes I just do. Well, all the Kaido is done here at my home.
wow, that's really really
Yeah,
cool. So you've got a nice home studio, cool setup,
I
and
do.
that makes it super easy. Awesome. Well, how did you get the role as Kaido?
Just through my agent, CESD in Los Angeles, they were auditioning and was tried for it. And I really have to say how incredibly fortunate I am because I hadn't been doing anime for all those years. It was my first audition for an anime series in 26 years, and I happened to be right for it.
Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible. No, he's a great character. He's a really, really good character, and he is. I'm in Wano right now, and
Mhm.
obviously you've dubbed quite a bit because I'm watching the dub. How did I actually haven't heard? I've heard a little bit of the sub Kaido. Did you try get it similar to his voice, or did you just come up with your own Kaido voice? How did you come up with that voice?
Other than the laugh, which is that's more similar to the Japanese than anything else that I do. We're listening. We're considering what makes more sense in English. There, it's written for us, but we can change it on the fly. The directors have that authority, which is awesome. So we could try to tell the story that would make most sense in English.
Mm.
And it isn't really matching what they did in Japanese. We just make sure the story is told in a very rich way for an American, a worldwide English audience. And that might be different than how they're doing it in Japan in Japanese. As long as the story is told clearly, that's all that matters.
That's true. That's true. That makes it. And obviously this podcast is called the Anime Dad Podcast. Are you a dad yourself? Do you have any children?
No, the only children I had are my characters and the dogs that I've had on occasion.
Dogs
When
definitely
someone,
are.
well, it's the answer I give when someone asks me what character I prefer out of all the 150 or more that I've done. I just say I love all my children equally.
Oh, I like that. I like that. I've got a favorite child. No, I'm just joking. No, I've got two girls, but 6 and 3. And they haven't watched One Piece with me. We're still going through Dragon Ball, the Dragon Ball series, but that's cool. All right. Well, obviously, I mean, you've got you're a dad to so many anime characters. Do you have a dad joke or a pun joke or something simple that you can
Sure,
give us?
sure. What did the guy say who had his left side amputated?
What?
I'm all right now.
That's actually good. He had his left side amputated. He's all right. Oh, that's cool. I like that. That's a simple one. I'll use that one as well.
Dad
I
jokes should be simple,
it needs to be. I literally
and
started this.
they're puns. They shouldn't be called dad jokes. They're
No.
puns, but dad for the podcast. I get it.
Yeah, I mean, I started this podcast to just increase my dad joke reach. That's the only reason I started it, and it's working.
I
Which
have
is
another dad joke, but it's so specific to a film. I don't know if you've ever heard of the film. What's it called now? An Inconvenient Truth.
no, but I'm sure some of the fans have. Give it to us.
Well, if anyone's heard of it, now every country has a different rating system. But in the U.S., NC-17 is above R. It's the hardest rating that you can get. And I used to tell people, and this film is from 2007, so this is a very specific joke to that time. But I would say, did you hear that Inconvenient Truth almost got an NC-17 rating? Too much gore. Now, those that know it, Al Gore, the former vice president of the U.S., was the one that spearheaded that film about the environment, environmental change. Anyway, you have to explain a joke. It isn't funny.
No, that works well. That works really well. The only one I know is I know a few, but the only one that came to mind straight away was a grasshopper walks into a bar, and the bartender says to him, "Oh, I've got a drink named after you," and he says, "You have a drink named Steve?" So that's but
That's good. Well, that's actually a really good discussion or lesson about prejudice too.
good point. Good point. And do you obviously do voice acting as your full-time gig, or do you do a combination of both?
Pretty much full time. I'm doing a lot of ancillary things too. So things that have to do with voice acting but aren't quite voice acting, like going to conventions,
Hmm.
teaching. I
Hmm.
teach voice acting. I produce demos for actors as well. So all those things combined. But there's always voice acting going on. I'm very fortunate about that and to be able to do that.
Yeah, and do you do any online courses, or do you do the majority in person?
Always online, especially since the pandemic. We all got used to doing that. I'll do group classes occasionally, either myself or through a company, or usually private. That's what I do.
Cool. Well, if any fans want to do a course of yours, where can they find them?
At my website, sobolov.com.
Sobolov.com. Awesome, awesome. And that last name, Sobolov, where's that from? Is that Russia, Ukrainian up there?
Yeah, Russian Ukrainian. My grandfather came before the Russian Revolution, a long, long time ago, to the U.S. And they didn't know what he was saying, and that's what they wrote down.
Really? Wow. That's cool. That's cool.
Too many
Okay.
others.
Well, I asked a lot of people, have you traveled the world much, David?
Some. I've been to New Zealand.
You
I've
have.
been to Australia. Yes,
Full
yes.
convention
The
or
Armageddon.
just
Yeah, the Armageddon conventions.
awesome? Fantastic. How did you like it?
Oh, love New Zealand. It's a wonderful place. It's funny though. People would tell me that they were sort of bored. The older people living there. The grass is always greener. I would love to live in New Zealand, and some of them would love to live here. It's a little bit crazy here now in the U.S. I think things are going to calm down politically. I would hope in the next few years. Definitely not thrilled about all the violence that we have here. So I'm hoping that that's going to change. Hopefully I'll live to see that. But I'm originally from Canada, where there are no guns, so
Mhm.
that's kind of the place where I'm used to from Canada. It's kind of a different world down here, but you figure out in any society how to navigate it safely and go about your business.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. And I mean, I live in a very small town, off grid, off the power grid, at least.
Wow,
And we
very small.
basically, yeah, it's a tiny house that we live in here, container house, and you know, it is you get used to the quietness of it all. I don't miss the big city at all. I prefer, there literally is a bunch of old people, and I've said before, that's the reason I started this podcast, because most people here think anime is a sushi, and I just
Uh,
like I like talking to some people about anime, but but yeah, I mean the main town, Auckland. Did you travel the South Island much or the North Island much?
I went to Christchurch,
Mm.
and that was very interesting. And I wanted to ask you: have they rebuilt the church in Christchurch?
Yeah, I believe they have. Because I'm about 4 hours away from Christchurch, and every time I go there, you see it. But no, I think they have. They have. Yeah, because a few times I've been, they've had a rebuilding project and a fundraising project, and you're right, they have. And I'm so happy that obviously the devastating earthquake was terrifying for a lot of people. What year were you here?
I think it was 2017, 2018, somewhere in there. I was
Right,
scheduled to come back in 2020, but of course we know how that worked out
of
that
course.
particular year. But you know what I learned about New Zealand when I was there, and I was there, New Zealand, and then on to Australia. You really learn that New Zealand is not a suburb of Australia. It's a completely different, independent, unique place. And the Armageddon conventions often have you do three conventions. So you travel, they give you a week's vacation in between, and they take you places.
Mhm.
So I got to know a lot about the culture, going through a lot of the North Island. Just Christchurch is at the north end of the South Island, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's the only part of the South Island I saw. I'd like to see more.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible, and it's a good place to live. Once I suppose you can have a home studio here and still be Kaido, but it's a good place to live, especially when there's a nuclear warfare, because we're far away and we've got a lot of bunkers. I feel a lot of Americans come here, especially with COVID, they all came here for their bunkers.
You know what
um,
though? If I would hope that never happens because I don't
yeah.
think that's something that's terribly survivable. But what a dark turn we've taken.
I know. That's true. So, nuclear warfare, what's your opinion? um, no,
Nuclear warfare bad.
yeah, bad. Okay, that's good. That's good. Most people say the opposite, so that's really good that you brought that out. No, it's yeah, no, we love it here. And would you say, what would you say is your favorite place in the world that you've traveled? So your favorite town that you've been to, one of your favorites?
Um, Remind me. No, I'm so sorry. I'm blanking on this name, but the capital of New Zealand is.
Wellington?
I like Wellington a lot.
Yeah. No, a lot of people like it. It's very windy going in, flying into it. I remember I went there for work regularly in the way, and I was holding an old lady's hand, almost breaking it in half because I'm terrified. But
Oh, I love the wind. And we went to a wonderful exhibit at a museum there that apparently won like the world's best exhibit. It was about World War I and New Zealand's
yes,
participation in World War I. Peter Jackson curated it.
yes, the
You remember
Taipei
that?
Taipei Museum, TEPA or something like that. I'm South
Mhm.
African originally, so I can't pronounce the Maori words too well. But no, it's yeah. And you were saying before, New Zealand's separate and different, and it truly is. You know, the biggest thing for me between New Zealand and Australia is you can go into the bush, you can camp, and you don't have to worry about being killed by 100 things, ticks, you know, spiders,
There's no
snakes.
spiders that can kill you. Yeah.
No, wallabies. You know, there's nothing that can take you out. Maybe a deer if you're in their way. Is the only thing.
But north of Sydney, all bets are off in Australia.
Yeah, yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that.
Lots
I've
of
only,
bugs,
I
lots of
know.
spiders.
And you went to Aussie as well? Australia?
I did. I've been to Victoria State, and then up to Sydney, Melbourne, just that side. I like to see the other side too.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well,
At some point.
what are there any conventions in your near future?
Lots and lots. In North America, Canada, I'm going to a Transformers convention in Sweden. I'm going to a Transformers convention in Birmingham, England this year. It's a very busy year for travel for me.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, that's one thing I definitely am envious of, the fact that there are so many incredible conventions if you live in America. There was just one in Texas that I've been seeing so many pictures and videos of the last couple of days, and it looks amazing. So much fun to be at.
And I encourage everyone to take the flight. If you can afford it someday and get there to New Zealand. It is a long, long way away from where we are, but so worth it.
Yeah, so true, so true.
And
Um,
if we're going to be good to each other, we have to see the world and find out how other people live.
so
You can't just stay
true.
in your own backyard your whole life.
And I mean, it's good to go to first world countries, but it's also good to check out third world countries. You know, South Africa is a good place to visit now and again. Even though they've got rolling blackouts at the moment. Again, we're going
Mm.
dark. We're going dark once more, but it is good to see how the other half lives and also appreciate what you've got. I remember every time I
Yeah.
leave New Zealand, even going to Scotland. My wife's from Scotland. I go to Scotland now and again. Coming back, you think, wow, it's good to be home. You know, even though Scotland has its positives and it's incredible,
Well,
it's
and that's why I couldn't believe that people were telling me they were bored in New Zealand. I'd be happy to be in a place like New Zealand. It's very peaceful.
yeah.
Um, People are pleasant. Things work.
Yeah, it's just people being
Yeah.
complacent and not getting out there enough, stuck in their own lives, you know. Um, so you obviously been, I mean, being Kaido is incredible, but do you have you watched any anime growing up, or have you watched any recently?
I have to say, I really don't watch a lot of anime, not because I don't like it, but I'm so busy. I'm
Yeah.
not watching a lot of anything really. I haven't even seen a lot of the Kaido episodes, as many as I can, but I'm seeing them as I do them, and I want to sit down one day. They sent me a list of all the ones that I did, so I can just go back and at least see what's going on. I mean, it would be amazing to have the time to go all the way back to episode one and watch One Piece, but I might not live long enough at this point.
It does take a while for sure. Well, what's your entertainment then? Like movies? Do you have a favorite movie that you watch?
Well, not movies per se, but I like episodic TV. Things like Ozark. I don't know if you know that show.
Yep.
Things like that. The episodic stuff, really good drama. Funny things. There's a show called The Other Two. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's an American on Apple TV here. It's an American sitcom. Um, there's a British sitcom now. I think it's called Extraordinary. It's about a world where everyone has superpowers,
Ooh, extraordinary. Is it a new
and
one?
yeah, I think it's new. I've just seen the first season of BBC, and I love it. It's great. It's kind of a different perspective that everyone has superpowers, so it's no big deal. And if you don't have one, you're an outcast.
That's cool. That actually reminds me of My Hero Academia, one of the anime. They
Mm.
call it quirks in that particular one, but that's really really cool. And obviously Kaido being such a big role, have you been approached to audition for any other? Obviously, you can't talk about them, but do you have anime in your future with any other roles?
I would love to. Nothing right now that's planned.
Cool.
But Kaido keeps me busy. There's a lot of recording going on now. We're catching up.
Hmm.
They're getting closer and closer to being right, like not months or years away from the Japanese release, but much closer.
I've heard. I spoke to Sunny Straight again the other day, and he was telling me how we couldn't say exactly, but he was telling me how regularly he records and how it keeps him busy as well. And Kaido obviously has a main
Very
role in
busy
the
right
Wano
now.
series.
Mhm. It's
Um,
still very busy. I think I'm up to about 1,020 somewhere in there.
right. That's cool. That's really, really cool. At the conventions, do fans ask you to say a particular thing in Kaido's voice?
Just to laugh mostly. Some
Just
of the stuff is screamed so loud wouldn't be able to last more than a couple hours doing that. So I'd save that for the sessions.
That's true.
But on the Funko Pops that they want signed, they'll often have quotes, and they remind me of all the things I've said, the things that I will say
Yeah,
that I
yeah,
haven't said yet.
yeah. That's a good point. That's a good point. It would be challenging to remember them all. You need a list.
Yeah, well, just also to get them exactly accurate for the fans. They want to have what was said, and as a voice actor, I don't have to memorize lines, so they're not in my
Yeah,
head really for the
yeah.
most part.
Do you find it challenging with the lip flaps with anime, or is it similar to what you do?
No, because what I tend to do myself, everyone has their own technique, but you get the beeps, beep, 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 and the silent fourth beep, you start talking. And I kind of just I perform it, and if there's any adjustments we have to make, we make them. If I have to be really specific to each flap, I will. At times we have to do that, but for the most part, there's a range. There's just a few. There's just sometimes it's on camera, sometimes it's off camera, and you just do the 4 or 5 seconds, and then I can watch the clock sometimes
Mm,
and just make sure I fit it in with that. But I try to make it my own performance while still making sure that the lip flaps make sense. And if I'm not doing very well with the flaps, the director tells me, and we get a little bit more concentrating on them than I would
true,
otherwise.
true. And who's the director for the English dub of One Piece? I forget.
There's various directors,
Ah,
a lot of different people. Mike McFarlane originally casted and started to direct it, and then he moved on to Chainsaw Man.
mm.
But yeah, I have Emily and Andrew right.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Does Colleen Clinkerbeard do it now and again, or?
No, I've not seen her.
All right. All right. Yeah, no, because I know she does My Hero Academia. She directs it now and again, but I've never heard of One Piece. She's probably too busy fighting Kaido with the voice.
I hear all the different voices. It's a lot of fun to hear other people's performances. It all depends on whether or not they recorded before me or not.
True. Oh,
And
that makes.
my favorite is Big Mama, Big Mom.
Yes.
Ma, 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 ma. All the different laughs.
Oh,
They should come out. The telephone on One Piece, the weird phone.
yes.
They should like make that. That would be
Oh,
fun.
I've seen a an EarPods record charging station that has
Mm-hmm.
that little gold one. That's quite cool. I spoke to Pam Doherty, the voice actor for Big Mom, and yeah, she was a lot of fun to talk to as well. She has to her voice. She has to really get into that zone as well. And mama, mama, mama. It would be a fun, very dramatic voice to act in. Does Kaido have many when he fights? Does he have many like sounds like that?
Yeah, sometimes mostly it's sort of battle cries and yells.
Yeah,
It's weird. It seems I'm good until about 5 seconds, and then it really starts to hurt my voice.
yeah,
But the shorter ones are a little bit better. But they actually do archive a couple for me, the really long ones, so I won't destroy my voice.
oh, that's
Really nice of them
smart.
to do that. Yeah, but mostly it's done for every single episode. It's all done new, and we're choreographed. And we're seeing the fight, and we have to make it sound like it's really the fight because a punch in the stomach is different than a knife in the stomach.
True.
Different sounds.
That's true. That's true. No, it's an incredible to be a part of it. Part of it is such an incredible thing. It's a masterpiece of art, and the following, your fan base is ginormous. It's huge. There's so many people that love One Piece.
I
Um,
love the chaos of it. It's
yeah,
just you never know what's going to happen. With Kaido too. One day he's sobbing his eyes out. I saw that in an early
yeah,
episode, and
yeah,
then he's very mean and aggressive, and there's lots of different Kaidos. I love that he has a dragon form.
yeah.
Turns into dragon form. And what's inexplicable to me now is I'm watching. We're doing a lot of fights now. He can almost get sliced in half and he still lives. I don't know how he
True.
does it.
True. Yeah, that's a good point actually. No, it's incredible. Now, I love it when when he kicks Luffy's ass the first time. He hits Luffy with that bloomin' with his fist or something like that, just knocks him freaking flying. It's incredible. He's just such a strong, and obviously his introduction, that video I posted of his introduction, standing
Mm-hmm.
there, is he tries to kill himself. How could
He
but he
can't
can't
die.
even freaking kill
Can't die.
himself.
And
So
I predict that even. I mean, we don't know for sure, but I think even when you see him die, he doesn't really die. And there's a
true.
thing that they do with this animation company that if they don't show the body, they aren't dead.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind when someone you love on the show dies. They probably aren't dead.
True. That's a good point. Bon Clay, I'm not sure if you know Bon Clay. He didn't show they didn't show his body. There's a few people that actually that they hopefully. Oh, you saw Ace. A lot of spoilers coming out here, um, but no, it's an incredible show, and I'm a massive fan. And you do Kaido so well. So just know that
Thank
you got
you.
so many fans here in New Zealand and of the podcast. That love you, love your work, love what you do. So please keep it up for
I
all of us
appreciate that.
because it gives us so many different. It just creates such an incredible watching viewer
Well, I
experience.
want people to know too that I'm the last thing I will ever do in my career is phone it in. I really care about the fans. I want everyone to enjoy what we're doing, and I fully engage every session. So I'm going to give you the best performance I can.
That's fantastic. That's really, really cool. No, thank you so much, David, for coming on the show. You
You're
are
welcome.
a massive talent, and
Thank you so
I've
much.
really thoroughly enjoyed talking. Could you take us out? Could you take us out with saying, "Hi, my name is David Sobolov, and thank you for watching the Anime Dad podcast." And you couldn't do it in Kaido's voice, could you? Just a normal voice.
Try. Let's see here. This is David Sobolov, the voice of Kaido in One Piece. Thank you for watching. What is it? Anime Dad. I'm sorry, I got it wrong.
Oh, no,
Anime
that's
Dad
fine. The
podcast.
Anime
The
Dad
Anime Dad.
podcast.
Okay, let me start again.
Yeah.
This is David Sobolov, the voice of Kaido on One Piece, asking you and telling you and welcoming you and letting you know that this is the Anime Dad podcast.
Amazing, David. Thank you
Not quite
so
in the voice
much.
of Kaido. It's a
That's
little bit
incredible.
quiet for Kaido.
You needed to have that laugh. That's amazing. All right. Well, thanks, David. Have a great rest of your afternoon. I hope it's sunny out there for you. And I'll post a teaser, and then the full podcast will be released in a couple of weeks. But I really, really appreciate your time and coming on.
Great. You're welcome.
See
Thanks
you
so
later.
much.